The reason why I'm making this video is because the Labour government is now trying to push some laws regarding Islamophobia. And I was just wondering, are we Islamophobic if we question Islam based on facts and based on the Quran and based on the surahs that's in the Quran? Because Keir Starmer is trying to put people in jail now because of some vague accusations that they're Islamophobic. And as you know, I'm an ex-Muslim, so I know a lot about Islam. And what I'm going to do in this video is that I'm going to go through some surahs in the Quran. And as you know, the Quran is accepted by all the Muslims all around the world, both Sunni and Shia, right? I'm not going to go through the hadiths and I'm not going to go through the life of Muhammad because that's 1,000 times worse. I'm just going to go through the Quran. And I really want to know, are we Islamophobic if we question the surahs in the Quran? Okay? And I'm not necessarily doing this video to offend anyone, and I'm not doing it to be Islamophobic. I'm just trying to spread awareness because sometimes I have conversations with other Muslims. I'm not a Muslim anymore, but like Muslim friends of mine, and they don't know that it says this in the Quran, you know. And the Quran is possibly the most peaceful book in the whole of Islam because the hadiths are 1,000 times worse, and if you look at the life of Muhammad, it's actually very bad. So I'm doing this video to spread awareness. And look, I know that all religions have some dark parts about them. If you look at the Old Testament in Christianity, there's a lot of dark things in there as well, and also the Torah. But then the difference between Christianity and Islam is that Christianity went through its own age of reform and enlightenment and renaissance, and they learned to separate church and state. The problem with Islam is that Islam is an absolutist religion where Muslims believe this is the word of God, aka Allah, and no man can ever question the word of Allah, which is extremely problematic, and it has no place in any civilized culture. So I'm going to go through the verses and I want you to make up your own mind. Okay, so let's go through it one by one. Chapter 2 verse 98, Allah is the enemy of non-Muslims. Chapter 3 verse 85, no other religion is accepted other than Islam. Chapter 8 verse 12, Allah will instill fear in the hearts of those who disbelieve Islam and Muslims. You cut their limbs by hitting their necks. And as you know, why do terrorist organizations such as ISIS, such as Boko Haram, even Taliban behead people? Where do you think they get that from? It says it in the Quran. Chapter 3 verse 118, make only Muslims your intimate friend. Chapter 3 verse 28 and chapter 9 verse 23, do not make friends with non-Muslims. And maybe that's why some Muslims, they don't assimilate when they come to the UK or anywhere else for that matter. They stay in their own group because it's in the Quran, well, don't make friends with non-Muslims. Chapter 8 verse 39, fight non-Muslims until the faith of Allah is fully established. And that is basically a call to action. And as I always said, one of the responsibility of Muslims is to do jihad and to Islamize the whole world. I'm not saying it, it says in the Quran. Chapter 22 verse 30, idols are filth. Chapter 9 verse 5, ambush and kill the idolaters, and whenever and wherever you can find them. Chapter 33 verse 61, wherever the faithful and the idolaters are caught, they will be brutally killed. Chapter 3 verse 62, chapter 2 verse 255, chapter 27 verse 61, and chapter 35 verse 3, there is no other God than Allah. Chapter 21 verse 98, those who worship anyone other than Allah are the fuel of hell. Idolaters are pure and unholy. Chapter 4 verse 101, Kafirs are open enemies, and Kafirs are basically sinners. So anyone that doesn't believe in Islam. Or Chapter 9 verse 123, oppress the infidels. Chapter 9 verse 29, by humiliating infidels, make jizya from them. So if you don't know what jizya is basically a tax imposed on non-Muslims when Muslims govern the land. So what used to happen is that Muslims attacked certain countries and they established a caliphate. So they either killed people that didn't convert to Islam, but some group, they were like, okay, if you don't want to convert to Islam, you have to pay us an extra tax, and that was called the jizya. Chapter 66, verse 9. Do jihad, war, with the infidels and the beneficiaries. Chapter 4, verse 56. Will cook the skin of the disbeliever. And you see that sometimes, it happens in Pakistan, it happens in Afghanistan. When someone is blasphemous towards the Quran or Muhammad, they burn them to death. And it actually happened recently to some girl that was accused of ripping up the Quran, and they burnt her to death in public. Chapter 8, verse 69. All spoils, including women, are halal. And that refers to the fact that Muhammad said that if Muslims go and conquer the land, then the women in that land are halal or permissible to the soldiers. Chapter 9, verse 14. Allah will punish the disbelievers at the hands of the believers. Chapter 8, verse 57. Be cruel to the prisoners